What up, Kane fans? Welcome back. So this Saturday, just 3 days from now, Miami has a chance to do something it has not done since 2013, actually, which is, well, actually, leave out 2017. That's an anomaly. We have not beaten a team ranked 12th or better since 2013. Of course, leaving out the 2017 season. That game, of course, was the Florida game back in 2013, where we beat Florida in at home in week 2. So, the only time we've beaten teams ranked higher than that were Virginia Tech and Notre Dame in 2017. And really, that's it. I'm trying to think of the closest we've come to beating, teams ranked in the top 15, top 20. Of course, we beat Pitt, the eventual ACC champions, in 2021 on the road. That was a pretty good win. The week before, we beat number 17 NC State. So aside from that, Miami really has a chance to do something on Saturday that it has not done very often in the last, decade or so. So lost and all that, of course, is what happened last Saturday against Georgia Tech. But I know a lot of the fans are ready to put that behind us. The team definitely has put that behind them, I feel like. From what I'm hearing, they're itching to get back on that field. The coaches are itching to get back on that field, and they just want to avenge what happened already. Of course, the media is not letting them forget it. Social media is not letting them forget it. But either way, it's in the past, and you got a big, big, big game to prepare for. So, again, Miami has an opportunity here to really set things right and kind of erase what happened last Saturday. So without any further ado, let me go backstage and bring my esteemed guest.
Hey,
Chalupa Batman. How's it going, sir?
what's up, Brody?
What's up, man? How's everything?
Oh, not too bad. Stuck at work, so I can't no video, so I feel kind of bad about that. But I'm more than excited to come chop it up with my guy John. And it's beat North Carolina week. I know we had a rough week last week with how the game ended, but I feel like this is a big one that we all had circled on our calendars. I think we all have the same thought that we're kind of just tired of losing to this team. Feel like we could have won the game last year. That one kind of slipped through our fingers, and I think they're a bit of a lesser team than they were last year too. Obviously, they've still got the stud quarterback in Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
But what we've learned so far this year from North Carolina is that defense can be had. So there is some optimism going into the game, obviously, but I don't know how you feel about this, John, but I feel like we need to stay disciplined on defense, especially on the back end.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something I think we've done a better job of this year with Coach Guidry. I think he's called very good games so far this season, and I definitely see an attitude change, and I see our defense definitely flying around and playing with a lot more speed and a lot more effort. So I think, I think that's not. We're not going to get gashed. It's not going to be a repeat of 2020. That's for sure.
Oh God, I hope not.
No. No, that's the scenario I see least likely to happen. Is just they just blow our doors off. Teams in the past that were mentally weaker, absolutely, but this team isn't that. I think we can all agree. After seeing them bounce back from 2 or 3 really bad mistakes to start the A&M game that normally would have sank us, I thought we were done. I thought we were cooked in that game. I'll be honest. I was in the stands like, man, we really are about to get run off the field in this game. But no, we bounced back against a very solid, talented team and dog walked them from that point on. I mean, that game wasn't close. So
I think we've didn't mean to cut you off, but I think we've learned since that game that A&M defense is a stout, legit defense. That front seven is legit. I think coming the more distance we have from the A&M game, I think the more not just us but the rest of the country will realize just how good this offensive line really is as a unit.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're the only O line that has really been able to handle that A&M D line. So that's very promising. And really, I look at years past against North Carolina and just years past in general, where we normally, this is the point in the season where we kind of unravel and fall apart. But if you look at those seasons, what's the common thread? Bad offensive line, soft in the trenches, weak mentally. Those are things that we are definitely not this season. That's a big, big,
100%.
big difference. So that's strong. I mean, one of the better O lines in the country, in my opinion, is Miami's. And I don't know. It's kind of like the wild card that kind of gives us. It gives you a chance against anybody, really. I mean, if you're able to
Yes.
make holes and run the ball, if you're able to, give a good enough quarterback like Tyler Van Dyke time to throw, he's going to hurt you. So I just think that that's kind of the X factor that we have not. We've been like at a severe disadvantage in all the other seasons, yet we've made it a close game. Granted, this is a
Yes.
much better. This is a much better North Carolina team, though. Like, how do you feel about that team in general? I know you said their defense has some weaknesses, obviously, but overall, like, how do you feel
I
about
mean,
this?
the defense has some weaknesses, but it's still a top 40 defense in college football. I think in total defense, they're ranked. I think so. We're still a top 10 total defense. Miami ranks ninth. North Carolina's defense is 35th in the nation, which that's not top five, but that's still a much improved defense. I think they can still be had a bit, especially in the secondary. But I think the story of this game is offensively. You're looking at two top 20 offenses. Miami comes in ranked 13th and that's rush offense, but our total offense, I believe, is seventh in the nation, and North Carolina's is ninth. So you're looking at two top 10 offenses going into this game, two experienced quarterbacks, two veteran quarterbacks that have seen a lot of football in college football. So it's going to be interesting. I say that to say this is going to be a game where both defensive coordinators are going to have to pack a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to throw much at Drake May that he hasn't seen already. You're not going to throw much at TVD that he has not seen already. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Guidry dials up pressure. We know he likes to dial up pressure. But with a guy like Drake May, you don't want to lose outside containment with him while dialing up that pressure. Or the defensive tackles don't want to get too far up the field either, because if we give him that opening in the pocket, he's going to take off. And I know Drake May is not Lamar Jackson, right? So he's not running for 34 when he escapes the pocket. But on those 3rd and 6s, those 3rd and 8s, we can't let them off the hook by allowing Drake May to scramble out, pick up 1 or 2 first downs to extend drives. I think that's going to be the key, bro, is those 3rd and 6s, those 3rd and 7s, when the secondary does do their job, can the front 4, the front 5, or however much pressure we get, still contain Drake May? He's got that extra added skill set that, yes, TBD can pick you up a first down, but Drake May's a little bit more dangerous on the ground when he takes off. So it'll be very interesting to see how Guidry dials up pressure, because you don't want to sell out and then this kid can step up in the pocket 6 or 7 at a time on 3rd down. Well, it'll kill a drive. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how both defensive coordinators attack their game plan. Miami's rushing offense has just been on fire this year. We've both talked about the offensive line and just how dominant they've been, the number 13th rushing offense in the country. So it'll be interesting to see if North Carolina decides, I saw the Georgia Tech tape, let me see if 9 can beat us, because we know Matt Lee, Cohen, Maui Noah, they can beat us. If we allow them 4.5 yards a carry, 5 yards a carry, there's not a team in the country that doesn't think we can beat them if we rush for 300 yards. So the question is, do they stack the box and dare Coach Dawson to air it out a bit? We saw Georgia Tech kind of try to take away a lot of that outside threat. We haven't been working the middle of the field a lot, and we saw Georgia Tech just decide, look, we're going to sit on things. If you're going to dink and dunk all day, we'll give you that, but we're not going to give you the big play. So it'll be interesting to see how North Carolina schemes for our offense, and then what Coach Dawson does to adjust to that as well.
Right. Coach Dawson, I felt like he held back way too much in the Georgia Tech game because
Same, bro. I felt a little conservative.
Yeah, it was like, it's like, yo, this isn't Miami of Ohio, bro. This is an ACC opponent. Like, let's throw some jet sweeps in there. Let's throw let's pull some guards and tackles. Let's like mix it up a little bit. It was like Rhett Lashley all over again. It was just straight halfback dive. That's what I felt like, at least.
And I was trying not to say that night because you try to be, because I felt the comeback energy of the night. So I was thinking, we can, as you're watching that game, we're saying the same thing as we're talking to each other on Twitter. Like, dude, we can beat this damn team. They just need to put it together. Yeah. But what was weird to me was coming out of the second half, I'm thinking, oh, here comes the explosion. And it did feel like a little bit that he was okay with the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And I feel like we can't do that here. Georgia Tech had a bit of an explosive offense. On paper, especially going into the game, we're all thinking, okay, Hayes King, if we give him time, he has just been absolutely airing it out this year. But we didn't see that from them. Drake May, make no mistake about it, Drake May will air that thing out if we don't apply pressure, if we don't get home, if we let him sit back there. It's going to be a shootout. And I'm not saying we can't win a shootout against Drake May. But in order to win a shootout against Drake May, Dawson would have to open that thing up a little bit. I'm a little curious to see if this is where we see wrinkles. Like, do you think this is where we might see a package for Ja'Cory Brown? Do you think this is where we might see Ray a little bit more and just changing it up a little bit?
No, definitely. I think back to the A&M game again, I think that proved to me that, okay, he's saving stuff for the big games. It's obvious. So I think this is one of the top 3 games on the schedule. And I think we're going to see, perhaps a little bit of Ja'Cory. I think this is what they've been saving him for, those, those big 4 games that they can use him and still redshirt him. So they might have a package for him. We might see, I think we will see some more tight end incorporation to the offense, maybe a little bit of running backs catching passes out of the backfield, maybe some Tyler Harrell, maybe some Brashard Smith. There's a lot of weapons they can go to that they just, on Saturday, it was, again, running, like you said, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. The thing is, the problem was it was working a lot of times. Sometimes it was 5 yards, 6 yards, and 7 yards in a cloud of dust. It's like, well, we're moving the chains, but then we'd shoot ourselves in the foot with an interception, or there would be a horrible penalty. So there was a lot of things to point to, but I don't know. I don't think Georgia Tech was the game to hold back so much. But at the same time, I think Dawson, he's got a lot in the tank that he was saving. I think this is one of those games he was saving it for, because before you came on, I was just going over the ranked teams that we've played over the last, let's say, 5 years or so, 10 years maybe. I'm going back and it's like, man, who was highly ranked that we beat? I know we beat Florida. Florida was number 12 when we beat them in 2013. And then, of course, you had 2017, you had Vatech and Notre Dame in back-to-back weeks.
Notre Dame.
That game is kind of that year. Not going to take anything away from them. That was a great season, but that was kind of the one anomaly. Taking that out, I'm like, man, the Florida game in 2013, we had a chance to beat Florida again. I think Florida was number 8 in 2019, and we lost to them, but on the final possession.
I cringed just hearing 2013. I cringed because I'm thinking, Jesus, that's so long ago, dude.
I know.
There's people in your live chat right now listening that might not even have been fans in 2013.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was at that game in 2013 too, man. It was fun, but yeah, that was 10 years ago already. It's and 2021 we beat a couple of ranked opponents, but in the lower 17, 18 ranked, something like that. But we've never beat, aside from Notre Dame. I can't remember the last time we beat like a top 10 opponent, like aside from that Florida game. It hasn't happened often. But so what I'm trying to,
and we're going on the road.
Yeah, we have a big time opportunity on Saturday to beat. Honestly, it's a winnable game. They're not this juggernaut that, you look at on the schedule like, oh, we're getting our ass kicked for sure. No, we absolutely can hang with them and maybe beat them if we bring our A game.
I think we can beat this team. Look, I know what people are going to say. They have typically the formula that you like to have in college football, sans the defense. And the defense is better this year. I keep saying that, but a top 40 defense is nothing to scoff about.
No.
The defense is better. But when you put a matchup on paper, the first thing you look at is, okay, how good is their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, all right, well, how good is their weapons? And then he's getting a weapon back. So there are those little quantifiers that you go, okay, this may be a rough one for us. But I go back to last year. I go back to, we had that game. The guys that are in the locker room now, the Leonard Taylors, the Colby Youngs, the James Williams, Cam, they're approaching this game probably with a bigger chip than they usually would. Obviously, coming off of last week, that adds to that chip.
Right.
But that game felt like the one that got away last year. That felt like the game that, after the A&M game, we were all saying, okay, a team with this kind of mental toughness and this kind of fight would have won that game last year, right? Our team last year, we don't make that comeback against Georgia Tech. And I know it ultimately did not end up the way we wanted it to, but we had no energy in that first half. That last year team would have come out that second half with the same energy. So right. you add the renewed mental toughness that Mario has in this locker room, the chip from last week, and the guys that have had this game circled since the last second dropped last year, because they all left that game with feeling like we won, but we didn't. So I think the focus here is going to be heightened more so than it typically would. Not just because of last week, because like you said, we probably, as a program, a big road win we need. Losing to North Carolina this many years in a row, I believe it's 4. This would be 4, or is it 4 already? I think it's 4 already. Yeah, we can't. When you say that, just saying that, and I'm not saying it's because of my bias or because I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. If you tell just a layman's college football fan, hey, Miami's lost to North Carolina 5 years in a row, they would go, no, it doesn't sound right. They would have to Google it.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where it's like the Bethune. I'm not saying North Carolina's Bethune-Cookman, but the Miami, Ohio games, the teams that, if we want to get back to where we want to get as a program, North Carolina in the future can't be a game we circle anymore. It's time to right that wrong. You know what I mean? Like, if the Hoops team wants to circle that game, I'm okay with that. But moving forward, I feel like this is a team that we should be beating. And I think we can. I think we have the personnel this year too. First off, we have the ground game to keep Drake May off the field. Mm-hmm. As much as me and you both kind of agree, hey, look, this might become an offensive shootout. We can dictate that if we want to.
Yeah.
If we want to go 4 yards in a cloud of dust, just to keep Drake May on the sidelines, 13 play drives, 14 play drives. Here's the key though, John. Those 14 play drives can't finish with field goals.
Yeah.
You can't hold the ball for 6 minutes,
right,
get a field goal, because that offense can make you pay. The same way we all felt like in the fourth quarter against Georgia Tech, hey, we can put up 21 in 3 minutes if we want to in this offense. Mm-hmm. They have a very similar offense where, we could go up 9-0. and then in the second quarter, it could end up being 14-9 within the first 3 minutes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting how they game plan for this.
Yeah. I don't. Establishing the run's still going to be important. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's going to be
It's boring, but it works.
It works if, like you said, you finish the drives with touchdowns. Now, I want to address Dominique Harris's comment. I've had it on the screen forever, but we've gone off on tangents. Hopefully, we have Kelly and Mesidor at full strength for this one. We need to make May uncomfortable all night. Totally agree. I think those are arguably your two best edge rushers. It was good to see Nigel back against Georgia Tech. Heard rumors here and there. Hey, maybe we see Mesidor for this game. It seems like he's nearing a comeback. Hopefully, that would be a huge boost because, in my opinion, he might. I mean, the way Leonard Taylor's playing, he might be the best defensive lineman, but Mesidor's like right there with him.
And Mesidor's versatility too. You can move him so much. It allows you to move Ruben Bain more if you have Mesidor. Without Mesidor, we kind of need Ruben Bain a little bit more to play on the outside. Mesidor's in the game. You can kick Ruben Bain inside. Mm-hmm. The reason I think that comment was so important is because it shows what you need to beat a team like this, right? You need the depth up front. It's not just having four guys that can rush the passer. It's okay, when Dean comes off the field, do we have a fresh body? When Leonard comes off the field, do we have a fresh body? Because they're going to try to do the same thing to us. They're going to try to slow our pass rushers down. They're going to try to keep our offense off the field because, look, talk to who you want to talk to about how bad that last game looked from TVD, but defenses in the ACC know this offense is potent. Mm-hmm. It can put up numbers. We can score at a clip that can hang with most people in the country if they execute. So I think it'll be very interesting to see. I think our game plan and their game plan defensively might be very similar. If I'm North Carolina, I'm thinking apply pressure to Tyler because he can make a boo-boo or two when he has some pressure on him.
Yeah. And
then stay solid in the back. They're going to preach the same thing we're preaching. They can't let Colby Young get behind them. They can't let Jacoby George get behind them. I think the defensive game plans for both of us will be similar, but I do think we have better athletes on the defensive line. Like you said, with a Nigel Kelly back, with a Mesidor, with Dean, guys that can chase down Drake May if he decides to scramble. We just need the discipline too from the defensive tackles, from Horton, from Moten. Right. Those guys cannot get up the field too fast and allow Drake May to step up, scramble, and like I said, when I say scramble, the 6 or 7, it sounds like it's nothing, but you do that 3 or 4 times on third down, and it just becomes painful.
It's demoralizing. Yes,
it's just absolutely demoralizing, right? I think getting off the field on third down is going to be huge here, and I think it goes without saying that TVD can't make the kind of mistakes he made last game.
Obviously, that goes without saying. He's got to bring his A game. He's got to morph back into Tyler Van Dynes that we know he can be that guy. Our defense, one thing I've noticed and I'll get to Wesley Joyner's comment now in a second, but I noticed I have noticed more discipline from the D-line, like especially early in the Georgia Tech game and throughout, really. I mean, we did a good job filling those running holes. It seemed like they had nowhere to run. Haynes King looked frustrated.
Definitely.
Unless one of our D tackles got tackled to the ground and no one called it, they weren't. I mean, he wasn't getting any rushing yards either. So like we did a good job containing a pretty talented quarterback, in my opinion. And you can see they've turned the corner a bit. I'm not saying they're all the way there, but they've turned the corner a bit discipline-wise. They're not just totally like overrunning their target and like the Red Sea just parts like we saw throughout the Al Golden era, for example. But let me just get to Wesley's comment here. How bad was that loss in terms of those recruits in the stands? Chalupa, you wanna?
That's a great question because that's a question I've gotten several times in the DMs over the past couple of days. I can tell you with some of the recruits that I've talked to personally, a lot of them feel the same way you've heard the players feel, where the loss isn't hurting the long-term vision or long-term goal that Mario has set. You guys also have to remember that a lot of these questions are for the offensive recruits because people don't want to lose the receivers. They don't, we've got a couple signed, and then it's no big secret that we're trying to flip one. So a lot of times guys want to wonder, or guys or gals want to wonder, does this hurt us with receivers, with offensive recruits? The one thing you do have to realize is a lot of these receivers have I can change that mindset, right? So Josiah's looking at that game thinking, man, the fourth quarter, they probably just could have threw one up to me and I could have changed that game. The running backs are thinking, I could have changed that. I could have been, or, the defensive linemen are thinking, if I'd have been there, I'd have gotten one more sack. Mario's recruiting guys that have the, oh, that won't happen to me mindset versus, oh, that happened, I don't want to be there. What I've heard a lot is this hasn't hurt or stopped my interest in Miami at all. And really, a lot of the recruits have been a lot more positive than fans have been. You've heard a lot of them say, this one loss isn't stopping Miami's progress. It's not stopping the vision. Four-star running back Jordan Lyle, who was there this weekend, committed to Ohio State, has gone on record and saying, he loved the way Miami fought back and thought, they could have won that game. And he loves what he saw from the offense. Four-star linebacker Elijah Melendez has just raved about seeing that defense in person. A guy like him saw that game and thought, if I make one more stop at linebacker, Georgia Tech probably doesn't even get a chance to throw that ball. Guys in the secondary, we're recruiting guys that feel like they can be the difference. So they're not looking at a game like that thinking, oh, I need to decommit or I need to flip. They're thinking, no, if I was there, I probably picked that ball off, or I'm the missing piece. So I know that we've got a ton of mentally tough recruits committed already in this class. I talked to Juan Manaya Sunday, just a day right after the game. And one of the first things he said was, I'm not worried about that loss because I know they're going to bounce back from that. I think it's been encouraging from recruits to see the team fight, to see, and then you look at a receiver watching that game, right? Who blew that game open offensively for us when our offense was really stagnant? The big 60-yard catch to Colby Young, right? So if I'm a receiver, I'm thinking, oh, well, when Miami gets down and out and the offense is struggling, they still trust their receivers. They still trust TVD at 3 picks at that point, and we still aired it out. Mm-hmm. So the offensive guys are seeing that and going, okay, even in a dogfight, even in a game where things are not going our way, Shannon Dawson is still going to push the ball vertical, and I will still get my chance to turn things around if we're having a bad game. So it's actually been positive from what I've heard from recruits. And football players are different. They understand that sometimes weird things happen in football games. Sometimes you lose games you're supposed to win, and you win games you're supposed to lose. Mm-hmm. So I don't think one loss has turned off anyone that was in attendance. It probably didn't help us as much trying to flip, Mr. Smith, because you want to make that good impression in person. But we landed one of the best receivers in the class 24 hours after. Yeah. Nikar was there, and he has been very vocal about the fact that he loved what he saw from the offense. He loved how the offense fought. He loved how the receivers were used. And he's a guy that feels like if I was out there, I'd probably cook one of these corners and we go up by 7 and Georgia Tech doesn't even have a chance to win the game. So I think when you recruit a different level of athlete mentally, I don't think you have to worry about when you drop one game. Look, the team is 4-1. Yeah, the sky is not falling. They're 4-1. The offense is still top 10 in the country. I think recruits are fine. Obviously, they still want to see the full season. But as far as taking that one loss, that has not hurt the recruiting momentum at all.
I've pretty much heard the same thing that you're saying. And it's funny, like these 17-year-old young men have like more foresight and more perspective than any adult on Twitter. Because like, yeah, you say some people are like the sky is falling and ready to jump ship, but like these recruits are pretty level-headed. They're like, no, listen, stuff happens in games that, you know, upsets happen. You lose a couple along the way, but it's part of a process. It's part of a rebuild. So I heard a lot of that, you know, coming from recruits, and also even some guys saying, yo, Miami was straight up robbed, which I mean, we were, but we won't touch that one.
That I heard too. That's another thing is recruits were there. I got a lot of CB. What the hell? That was supposed to, you know, he was down. That was a lot of the reaction I got was, oh man, you guys were robbed. But
yeah,
their experience isn't just the game. Their experience is the coaching staff. Their experience is just sitting down watching film with Shannon Dawson. Their experience is watching the game and seeing how I fit. Elijah Melendez has talked about when he goes to watch these games, he watches Kiko in the middle. He said, I watch nothing else but 51. So he's not looking necessarily at the final score. He's looking at how are they using this middle linebacker?
Right. How am I going to
all game long? Exactly. So when we lose the game, obviously when you're there, you want to be there for a win. But a young man like that is walking away going, I know how they'll use me, and that was awesome. So they watch the game different than we do, obviously.
Right. Exactly. So before we continue, let me just get to Norman's dono. Thank you for the $15 dono, Norman. As always, thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Let's see. Army Kane 954 says UNC is overrated in my opinion. Their wins are over teams that are a combined 10 and 12 so far. I mean, look, it's valid. They haven't, you know, they've beaten up on some bad teams, but I do not think they're that overrated. Honestly, I think UNC is like around the 12th to 15th best team in the country. I think
I would agree with that.
They're legit enough to warrant where they're ranked, as I think we were when we were like 17th a few days ago.
And that's why I didn't. I understand some people were saying like, you know, how are we even still ranked? I think
because they watched the game.
I was gonna say I think because they actually watched the game, and these people have watched the full season. You do have to understand those things are done in totality, right? So, for example, North Carolina, if they lose this game by 3. It's not like all the beat writers are going to say, well, they suck. They're going to say they took one loss to a good team. You know, no matter what you want to say about that last game, this Miami Hurricanes team is a good team on all 3 phases. I think we forget about that because as fans, we just want to see wins. We want to see domination. But could we really this time last year say we have a solid team on all 3 phases, where if the defense can't win us a game, the offense could, and vice versa? I don't think we could honestly say that last year. So that's why, you know, you can take a disappointing loss, but then see the forest through the trees. Okay, 4-1. They lost that game earlier than they probably should have this year. Maybe that was good for them. Maybe they were smelling themselves a little bit. Maybe they needed a little bit more fire. I always feel like Miami is a better football team when the odds are stacked against us and when people don't believe in us. And right now, you know Mario is preaching us against the world. All you have to do is open your little Twitter account to find out that everyone's against you right now. And what better motivation going into the first big road game of the year than a speech where Mario walks in and says, everyone's doubting you now. You're not 2001 Miami where the U is back and everyone's buying the merch. We are the butt of everyone's jokes at this point. Go out there and show them who you really are. I think this is a great game to see the mental toughness on this team. I think we saw it with a team like Colorado when they got absolutely stomped by Oregon. Did they beat USC the following week? No. But did they respond? Yes. I think we all want to see this team respond. We want to see them come out energetic. We want to see this team come out with fire, put that last week behind you, and it's 1-0 this week.
Agreed. Mitch saying, notice Mario didn't tweet the commit GIF he usually does. Mario is pissed off and he's off social media right now. UNC should be worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, you don't win. He can't win. He can't win if he puts that GIF out, right? It's a lose-lose situation. Half the fan base will be asking, why is he taking time to do this when we have a big win coming up? And then the other half are just opponents that are going to troll him. I think Mario's focus right now is a lot more than that GIF, but I think him not putting out that GIF tells us all we need to know about the head honcho. He is focused. I don't think he cares about X, Twitter, TikTok, or any of that at this point. I think Mario and that staff is focused.
I agree, and I think the team is pissed off. And
yep.
I think the second the game ended on Saturday, they wanted to get back on the field and play again. They wanted a do-over, which is a great sign. They're you can tell how badly they want to win, honestly. And Mitch also brings.
It's good to see.
Yeah. No, it's good to see a little bit of the fire, the emotion pouring out from certain guys after the game was over. That's something I hadn't seen in a long, long time. And Mitch saying, no matter who we lost to at this point, so many people had us 4-1 at this point in the season, and that's true. That's where I had us. I had us at 4-1. Of course, I had us losing to A&M and beating Georgia Tech.
Same.
Most people did. A bajillion people will tell you we had, I had them at 5-0 at this point. No, you didn't. Really, if you're being truly honest, you really had us starting 5-0 before you saw us. Season? No,
I don't remember one person. John, I'm gonna be honest with you, because you did the same thing I did. You get asked to do, come on someone else's show and give your prediction, and
right.
I don't know. I probably did 10 of those things. Yeah. I don't remember one person saying 5-0 going into North Carolina. I don't. And now, I'll agree with you. I didn't think our first loss would be Georgia Tech, but hey, Georgia Tech, those young men have their own motivation, right? They got stomped the week before that. The same message Mario has for our locker room, they had for their locker room going into that game. New defensive coordinator, a team that had a chip on their shoulder, wanting to prove a point. Sometimes you just run into a team that for some odd reason just plays at a different level that night. That I do not think that will be Georgia Tech all year. But no, I think Georgia Tech looked at that game and said, this is our natty. This is the start to our season. And I think that's the same way Mario and the guys are looking at this game. Is no matter what we've done so far, no matter who we've beaten, we really can kick our season off this Saturday with a win on the road.
Yeah, no, totally. Sorry, I was just reading some of the comments. Yeah, no, totally agree. And what you just said, situations like, Georgia Tech upsetting us, you see that happen every freaking week in college football, it seems like, especially nowadays. Not the way it happened, that was kind of unprecedented, but yeah, you see bad teams show up for a game and play, above their level. You see that happen all the time. But yeah, Ben from You Heard, shout out to those guys. Love that show. I was on with you on their show post game.
Hey, that's my Brody Ben.
Yeah. He said, love the energy from Matt Lee cussing up the storm at the interviews on Tuesday. Yeah, I love that.
I think that's everything we wanted to see from this team this year, right? Obviously we didn't want to see a loss or that early, but I think we wanted to see the energy after a loss. I think seeing the way that this team felt after that loss. I saw a tweet that I completely agreed with. I'm sorry I don't remember who tweeted it out. But someone said, look, this time last year we lose that game, boys would have been on TikTok dancing, on Instagram at the gas station. We'd have still seen pictures being posted. And as someone who follows, and looks for a lot of the post-game photos and things like that, we didn't have that energy after this game from this locker room.
No.
Them boys were furious. If they could have lined North Carolina up the very next day, they would have.
Right.
And I think that's the difference.
And that's the kind of attitude like the teams back in the day had. It's like,
yep.
Like if you had Miami next on your schedule, and for some reason, let's go all the way back to 1990. If you're a historian like I am, like you remember, or you know about. I wasn't, I was like 3 at the time, but you know about the loss to Ty Detmer and BYU coming off a national championship. I feel sorry for, I think it was Cal who we played next. Like back then I would feel sorry for whoever is coming after that, after coming after a loss or, just like a flat performance. I remember in 2003 when Kellen Winslow had that crazy catch to win the game against West Virginia on a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
We almost lost to West Virginia. I was in the OB that night. Rainy game, and it was similar to Georgia Tech. Our defense was flying around, making plays. Our offense just could not punch it in for whatever reason. We finally win, right? Very next week, people are doubting us, right? We're number 2 in the country. Very next week, we play number 5 FSU on the road. That was the Sean Taylor 2 picks and 2 forced fumbles. Should have had like 7 picks. They responded. So it's good to see that change in attitude. Let me address Mike's comment really quick. Mario Cristobal's legacy is the Georgia Tech game unless he wins a national championship. Now, I think that's a little overboard. I don't think. Yeah,
I think that's overboard. I think he's in year 2.
That's not true. Listen, Mike. We're all pissed about. We can't do anything about it. It's definitely like a blemish on his record for sure. I agree on that, but I'm telling you, this game is huge on Saturday. You win this game, we maybe don't forget about the game against Georgia Tech, but the pain of that game is pretty much gone.
100%. I agree. I don't think you forget. You can't forget. We as fans, we can't forget. But if you strap a lie detector test to anybody preseason and tell them, look, we start the season 4-1 when we go into North Carolina. Now, I'm not going to tell you what team we lost to, but we lost to a team that was a bad loss. But then we rebounded and beat North Carolina. We're 5-1. How do you feel? It would be high fives. Yes, it would be high fives everywhere.
Because that's 2 ranked opponents that you beat an undefeated number 12 team in the ABC Spotlight primetime game, which again, since Notre Dame, we haven't done that. Yeah, dude, like that win would erase the pain of the Georgia Tech loss completely, 100%. We are right back on track.
And on the road, I think winning a game like this on the road would be huge, man. I think for us and for the guys in the locker room, if we're going to become perennial ACC contenders, these games are games we can't bite our nails at anymore. Just because we're on the road against a tough opponent, we can't bite our nails anymore. We have to attack it thinking, okay, just because we're a team that hasn't done well on the road against ranked opponents, you can't really, as hard as it sounds and as hard as it is to do, and I've been trying to help people with this on the timeline, being the therapist, we have to stop letting past trauma affect our future feelings. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear about Josh Gaddis's offense anymore. I don't want to hear about, well, this is just like 2000 let me stop you there. This is a completely different team. This isn't even the team that we had last year. We have 40 different players on this team this year. Mm-hmm. So if we want to build championship culture, it has to eventually culminate in winning tough games on the road and not feeling like, oh, we're going on the road, let's chalk this as a loss. I think that mindset has to change. And I think that will change, but it will change with time. I know that's the hardest thing for fans to do, is to give time. But we all saw what this roster was last year. We saw what he inherited, right? And we all screamed that changes had to be made. So as bad as it sounds, or as rough as it sounds, you got to give the man time. We are seeing a different team. Just for those of us that follow some of the players, the parents this week, we had that issue last year where we lose a game and parents are on Twitter tweeting at coaches. You know what they were tweeting this week? 1-0. Focus to next week. We heard from so many different parents saying, "Oh my God, I've never seen this locker room look like that after a loss." So the culture is changing. We just have to give it some time. But I think you do speed that process up as far as perception with the fan base. If we can go out and get that win this week, I think it'll cool down the fan base. The same way the A&M victory did. It cooled down the fan base a little bit.
Cooled us down. It had us saying we were going to run the table. Like,
yeah.
But you see what I'm talking about? Like a big, like as crazy as Miami fans get after a bad loss. They're the same way in the other direction when we get a big win. It's like,
yes.
It's crazy. Like,
and you love to see that passion. So don't get either one of us wrong when we say, you guys got to be a little bit more calm. You love to see that passion from the fan base.
Sure.
But there has to be some measure to that. There has to be, like I say on defense, you like aggression, but you like measured aggression. I don't want you being aggressive, running past the quarterback upfield and he goes and scrambles. You want measured aggression. So you want passion, but it also should be measured passion. You need to also understand that these things take time. When was the last time we saw a coach take over a 5-7 team, swap out essentially the entire roster, and compete for a national championship the following year? Those kind of things don't happen if you're not playing NCAA 14.
Right.
We have to give the man time. This comment here is interesting. If I do have one takeaway from that final play, other than being shocked that it happened, I was shocked at who it happened to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That part of it, I don't think many people have spoke on, because I think for a lot of us, we just want to put it behind us. And, you don't want to beat someone when they're down. That young man felt bad enough. We don't need to say it. He felt bad enough. But John, did you feel a little shocked as to who that happened to?
A little bit. I wasn't shocked that the play happened though, because I think as a team we were just deflated by the decision to not take a knee, and also the bad, the highway robbery of the fumble. I think
absurd.
The team was just a little deflated. We probably this is me saying it now in hindsight, obviously, probably should have called a timeout there. I think we had 2 left. We probably should have called the timeout there, or maybe on the final play when there was 10 seconds. I was like, ready, take a breath, calm down. They got to go half the field. Everybody get back, that kind of thing. But it was tricky because they were down a field goal, and one completed pass gets you in field goal range. So it's like, there was a little bit of that. But I think calling a timeout to like calm everybody down.
To reset
everybody, because obviously, they got to midfield in like a play or two. So as a coach, I would have been like if I'm playing Madden, I'm stopping the clock, and I'm like, I'm taking
just like on basketball, you stop the run. You just got to stop the run.
I hit that button to call timeout, and I'm digging through my playbook. Okay, what do I pick here? I take that extra time,
It reminded me of the Fiesta Bowl, which another painful memory, right? But after that call, right, the defense. Are they exactly ready to go back and go full into 100% mind back into the game mode? You know what I mean? Or are they still in shock a little bit? Like, I remember my dad telling me when that happened in the Fiesta Bowl that, you guys are going to lose this game, not because of X, Y, and Z, but because it's hard to, and I know we want to give football players more credit than this, but they are human beings at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And when you take someone's emotions that high, then you tell them, no, strap your helmet back on. Like, you have to go back out there. And I think there is something to that. I think, like you said, I think a timeout would have done just to reset, just to look everyone in the eyes and go, hey, y'all, we're still in a fucking dogfight. Like, I know it felt like we were about to play the fight song and and celebrate, but we're still in a dogfight. I think that timeout would have just helped because your mind is racing at this point. Half of your brain is telling you why am I even out here? We should be celebrating by now. The other half is telling you to get in the game, and you're fighting yourself, trying to stay focused. You're trying to read your keys again, but in the back of your mind, you're still thinking to yourself like, why I shouldn't even be out here. So I think that timeout would have helped. But look, we got to grow together. Mario and this program, we have to grow together. That's why I kept saying to everyone, we win and lose as a team. I don't want to hear TVD, Cam, Cheney, Dawson. The Miami Hurricanes lost that football game, period. The best thing that they could have done after that game is what they did. They all took accountability. And I mean everybody. Guidry said I should have blitzed. And it's like, what? But that's what you want, right? You want the entire team going, not what someone else could have done. What could I have done? Damn, if I'd have got that sack, that drive in the third quarter would have been over. Or man, if I wouldn't have went out of bounds and cut that up the field and got one more first down in the first quarter, I wonder if we even end up punting to them in the first quarter and then field position. You start going through all of that. I love seeing that from this team. I love that every player, every coach was looking at themselves going, I could have done something else. To me, that's winning culture. That's what you want in a locker room. When something bad like that happens, no one pointed a finger at anyone else. They all walked straight to a mirror and said, damn, I could have done something different. Refs, whatever. If I'd have done this in the third quarter, the ref wouldn't have had a chance to screw us over. So I like that accountability we've seen from this team. I don't think we see that last year. And I think that alone tells me that we're on the right track.
Absolutely. And yeah, everybody took accountability, but it's like if you listen to certain people on Twitter, you would have thought they didn't, because like it's those. I think Ben from You Heard tweeted this. It's like, man, don't waste your time with people that like people say, hey, I'm sorry, it was my fault, I screwed up, but even that's not good enough for them. The way they said it wasn't good enough. They didn't say it quick enough. It's like, man, don't waste your time with those people. A lot of people were like,
yeah, a lot of people had that energy, and it was like, first off, what do you want them to say seconds after the game?
What else right. They still have to go back and look at what happened. Like, it's an emotional moment. And also, like, what else do you want them to say? Like, yo, my fault, I screwed up. Like, still to some people that wasn't good enough. And whatever. I thought they handled it well. I mean, I thought from top to bottom they handled it well. I thought the one that was alarming to me is when I heard Guidry say, I should have applied pressure on that play. I was like, okay, on to North Carolina. That's what I needed to hear. On to North Carolina. There isn't a person in that building with a U on their shirt that doesn't feel like they could have done something different. Yeah.
And as long as they keep that mindset of, if I can do something different to help my brother out to where this won't even be on my brother, I think we're good. I think that's what you want in a program. You want everybody going, yeah, TBD threw that pick, but on the play before that, if I'd have got the first down, we probably could have ran the ball again. Like, I like that. I love that accountability, because that's what gets you out of these situations when the whole world is pointing their finger, laughing at you, and everyone is telling you your coach is this and you should have done this. I like that bunker mentality of nah. I could have done something different. I don't want to hear about what somebody else could have done. I play for this team too. I missed a block. I did X, Y, and Z. I could have been the change. We got a locker room full of guys that are not even blaming the ref. They're blaming themselves. Matt Lee is blaming himself. He's not blaming no ref. He's saying, I could have done something different.
Yeah.
They keep that mindset. I think the sky's the limit for this program.
100%. And I think, I'm with you. I didn't really even notice that, but you're right. The players, not a single player brought up the blown calls.
Nope.
So that's a great sign. Leave it for the fans to talk about that. Don't talk about that player. But
I think last year they talk about it. Last year they bring it up. I think without a doubt. I think without a doubt last year it would have been pointing fingers and
oh
we
yeah,
would have saw it. We would have saw it on Instagram, we would have saw it on Twitter. You know what we saw on Instagram and Twitter from them? We saw Xavier Restrepo apologizing to the fans because he felt like he could have done something. Not because the team let them down. He said, I felt like I could have done something. That's what you want to see from your leaders. And the young guys will learn from that. We've got such a young team, a lot of young guys playing. So when they face adversity like this and they lose a game like that, who do you think Maui Noah is looking to? He's looking at Cohen. He's looking at Matt Lee. How do they respond to this?
mm-hmm.
Oh, that's how we're supposed to handle this. So when Francis is a junior, when he's a senior, and they face adversity, he's gonna look over to that freshman and go, no, hey, we don't point fingers. That's not how we do this here. How we do this here is if you pancake somebody 3 plays ago, we wouldn't have been in this situation. That's how we handle this here. I think that's how you set that standard. If you listen to the guys from the dynasty that was built here, they built that dynasty through accountability. They built that dynasty through I take care of my job, my brother takes care of his job, and that takes care of the program.
Mm-hmm. Man, you got me wanting to play right now. Like
I was gonna say I'm hyped. Like I need the game to be now.
bro. Well, we've been on, bro. It's flown by. We've been on like an hour already. But I know you got work right now. You're working late. I'll let you go, man. But yeah, man, great insight from you as always. I hope the viewers have enjoyed it. I hope whoever rewatches this later on enjoys it. Chalupa Batman, please, real quick, let them know if they don't know about you yet. I'm sure they do, but if just in case, let them know where they can find your stuff.
So obviously, thank you so much for having me on. We got to do this again where I'm not at work and I can actually use my camera. Always love talking Canes and football with you. For those of you who don't know, follow me on Twitter. It's at Corey Carmona. It's my government name. I know no one knows who the hell that is. I'm sorry. But if you look up Chalupa Batman, you'll find me. I'm on the You Heard Pod every I always forget the days because I remember the days we record. So every Monday and Thursday, new episodes drop on YouTube. I also have my own YouTube where I do interviews with recruits and commits. So I've done most of the Miami commits from the 2024 and 2025 class. If you just look up Chalupa Batman on YouTube, you'll find some of the videos. And then I always say support everyone else as well. John does a fantastic job on this channel. If you're new to this channel, if you're watching it because you saw me tweet it or Ben or somebody, subscribe. Locked on Canes, you'll see me on there from time to time. There's such a great community of Canes content creators. And I feel like if you're a Canes fan and you're not following like John, like what are you doing? So support this channel fully, like, share, and subscribe, everything John does.
I appreciate that, brother. All right, man. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. We'll have you on again soon where you can have your camera on. Hopefully, celebrating a big win against UNC or Clemson down the road. And yeah, until then, we got a big one Saturday, guys. I don't think people last week is kind of overshadowing how big this game is.
I think so too. I think for all of us, or for a lot of us that are still not a lot of us, because I think for the most part, most of us have moved on. I think it'll hit the rest of the fan base probably tomorrow or Friday. How big this game is.
Yeah, this one's huge, man. I'm hoping. I just want to see us respond and play our asses off. Like if you at least give me that, hey, that's something to build on. But God, if we get the win, that would be so perfect.
I'm so ready, bro. I'm so ready.
I know. Well, let me let you go, man. Thanks for coming on. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. All about that. Let's go Canes. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.